right, man. It seems that Trajan Langdon actually made a good decision. And it was rumored, it was never said publicly, and he wouldn't do that. That they wanted to look at Myles Turner and kind of like prepare to turn the leaf on Jalen Duren. Duren kind of was like bullshitting last year around January, February. He picked it up, played really, really well. But the whole thing was they wanted to get Myles Turner. And Milwaukee got Myles Turner, and for the most part, you got people calling Giannis a coward for leaving Milwaukee and all that type of stuff. I mean, to each his own, right? But I ain't here to get into that. But I just think they like the ability for Turner, what he did, defend the rim, stretch it out. Excuse me. Stretch it out, shoot the 3-pointer at his glasses on. Shoot the three. I think that's what they was enamored with. But, JD is special. You know what I'm saying? Like, Myles Turner's a good player, but he's not Jalen Duren. What can Jalen Duren do? His ceiling, his ability to rebound, the ability to post, the ability to his athletic ability. He kind of shooting the ball a little bit better, and he kind of showing his whole array. I said from the beginning, he's the most important. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean he's the best. He's the most important. He's the what holds it all together. Everybody think you got to shoot a three and all that. And it was the anniversary, I believe, the other day of Denver and Detroit Pistons. The Nuggets, they had the highest scoring game in NBA history. I think two overtimes, 180-something, 180-something. It was only 2 threes made, and I think 4 threes attempted. I think Detroit attempted 2 threes, made 1. Denver attempted 2 threes, made 1. You don't have to know how to shoot in this league to be successful and score points. You know what I'm saying? And Jalen Duren, I heard somebody on TV, he only, takes 10 shots. And that is like, I don't care about none of that. If you do your job and you're efficient and you rebound, you defend that paint, that's what you need. And kind of when you look at the Thunder, we built a little bit different than the Thunder. The Pistons have no issue. That paint is his, from rebounding to blocking to his ability to really seal somebody on the back of his on his backside, get a bucket over the left shoulder, over the right shoulder. The athleticism has caught up with the skill. Able to face up, hit a little. He remind me. His game is really remind me of Lonzo more than Patrick Ewing. His ability to jab step, then just fade away off the jab, spin, get a bucket, pivot. You know what I'm saying? Off the counter pivot over the right shoulder. You see it. That's how basketball is supposed to be played by a 7-footer. Jokic does it too. When Joel Embiid is not tired, he'd go in there and he'd get a bucket. But that's how the game is supposed to be played from a big fella. Taller you are, why would I want you further from the basket where you couldn't rebound, where you couldn't, offensive rebound, you can't get a lob, you know what I'm saying? I don't want your center farther from the bucket. Really, you don't even have too many great slashers anymore, like Gerald Wallace and Ricky Davis and guys like that. That's what you want. Guys running that baseline, guys slashing, getting to the bucket, finishing, and one. That's what you need, especially when you don't really have a bunch of great centers around. But they made the right decision. I mean, they still could end up with Myles Turner if they choose to end up with Myles Turner. But I think they made the right decision. It was easy to me. They just enamored to the fact that he shoot threes and he's a great shot blocker. Jalen Duren is catching up, just blocking shots. But his potential will rebound and his just explosiveness. If you wanted to get that away, that's why the Lakers wanted him so bad. That was going to be a stain. That was going to be a stain on your resume to get that kid away. And maybe mentally you was like, and for everybody, it clicks different. You had a kid a bunch of millions and millions of dollars, of course. So seemed like really K kind of took him under his wing, was like, I can't do it without you. And really quietly, he's become their second best scorer. You know what I'm saying? Quietly, he's become dependable. And the more and more, they empower him to be that guy. And the more he inserts himself and get comfortable, he's going to be 25-10 every night, 25-12 every night. You know what I'm saying? So that's something to look at, man. 25-12 every night. Hit those free throws. It's just being efficient. The athleticism is catching up with the skills, and once that happens, then it's about being efficient. This is how I want to kill you tonight. Okay, y'all gonna take away, y'all gonna double team me. I'm just gonna make that. He's a great passer too, but Myles is a really good player as well too. So, I mean, does Indiana want to bring him back? You know what I'm saying? Do you still bring him in here? Kind of rotate him. If you're Orlando, do you look at somebody to really stop that middle of the paint? If you're the Lakers, do you look to make something happen? You really got a guy that can defend the paint. There's a number of questions. Turner's a fantastic guy. Fantastic center, can help somebody win. Atlanta, do you look down there? I know they got Okongwu. I like what he's doing. Took a few years to make something shake. He from the Dallas area. Do you want to be part of a Dallas rebuild? He got his money. So you just look around and like, where can he really fit? Veteran presence in Charlotte, that'd be a good fit for him, veteran down there. But, quite frankly, I'm glad they didn't get rid of that kid. It talks about Sabonis, Turner, and maybe they was just pulled out of thin air. But to me, I never understood it. This kid got so much upside. You know what I'm saying? So other than that, those are two mainstays, Cade and Jalen Duren. To me, anybody else can go. I hear people say, Asar Thompson is untouchable, and he'd be a close third. But the thing about it is, you got to start like asserting himself with a jump shot. That's what's really just holding him and Ron Holland's back. Offensively, they got to be able to create. They got to be able to create something, a mid-range jump shot. You know what I'm saying? They got to be able to create. And if they just going to be guys that get it off the hustle, let's say Asar Thompson going to be a guy that get it off the hustle, then you got to make up for that on the perimeter. So you got K, Asar, Duren doing what he's supposed to do. Asar, okay, he can't shoot, he can defend. So then you got to keep guys that can shoot around him, So that's the thing. And that's no issue, because you can morph lineups or switch lineups, but, you kind of see why they probably would want to say, oh, Turner can stretch it out. It can allow Twin can do. But to be honest, Twin got to catch up. And I think, he eventually will. But for the most part, he got to catch, one of them got to catch fire as far as shooting that rock. But it is what it is, man. But it was a good move not to be made, and that money on the flow, these guys start hooping. So hopefully, even if he get his money, in my personal opinion, hopefully he keeps extending, he keeps wanting the taste of an all NBA team, an all-star team or something like that. If you make that, that's what you want to do. You want to keep that going. You just want to get your money and just rest on your laurel. So thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, check out Detroit Lions top playlist. Detroit Pistons top playlist. Find me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, Instagram, the whole nine, everything inside the link tree. I appreciate the love and support. One time for the one time, Mercy Sports Talk. Peace.